Hello guys, today we will teach you how to draw a realistic rose. Before we started, make sure you have subscribed our YouTube channel, so you can get updated whenever a new tutorials are up. Start with sketching a rough line. The core has a line frequency than the periphery. Use the lasso tool to define the borders of the roses, to make it easier to paint, and pour bright red into it. Create a new layer in clipping marks to make the next step of painting easier. Drawing realistic rose timestamp. Roughly shade the area on the opaque side. In this case, the light source is on the right-hand side, so the shadow should be on the left. Sometimes to make it easier to paint, you can choose a color palette on the side of the image, for easy selection of colors that are close to the shadows and highlights. Gently shade the surroundings and add a brighter red in the middle to give it an additional dimension. After shadowing the surroundings, use brighter reds from the selected color palette to paint around the edges of the rose petals. In the meantime, increase the intensity of the shadows to give them a clearer dimension by using a small brush to help preserve details. This process will start to take more time. It gives the overall rose petals a more realistic look. Be patient. Outer petals use a brush with a rough texture. Draw a radial from the center to make the rose petals look more realistic. Use a small brush to keep the details of the shadow. Note that each intersection point is necessary to clearly separate the parts. This will take some time. To make the rose look real, we need to use depth of field. Use a soft round brush to draw the stems and leaves of the rose. We'll add a bit of dark green color to the base of the layer. During the recording of this video I use a hard brush, so fixed by using a filter blur to help make the stems and leaves look more distant. Use a darker, almost black, green to cast shadows on the stem and leaves. Add lighter greens and a little white to highlight areas that hit the light. To paint the background, always use a soft round brush. To make the image have a more realistic distance, in the final step, keep all the overall details again, adding highlights, shadows, and overall image weight. Adding a little more color saturation to the image, you will get a realistic rose.